Okay, pre-calc, let's do a little review about function notation. Okay, when it says f of x equals a function, okay, the f of x spot is like the y spot, except they're telling you, okay, the input is called x. So for this function, you have to take your input and square it, and you also have to put another input right there. Okay, so here's some things you have to know how to do. When it says evaluate f of 7, they want you to take 7 and put it in as an input. Okay, put it in to the x spot. That's very important when you do your work that you start by saying f of 7. Okay, tell me what number you're plugging in. Don't just start doing a bunch of work. So for the f function, I'm going to put a 7 into the input spot. 2 times 7 squared, and then minus 4 times my input. So f of 7 equals, okay, you can even just go ahead and use a calculator to do all this. 2, your input's going to get squared, minus 4 times 7 plus 1, okay, so everybody says 71. So f of 7 equals 71, okay? They said to evaluate 7. So when 7 goes in, what's the output? Okay, it did not say to write this as a point. You can't say f of 7 equals point. F of 7 makes 71. This is exactly how you write the input and the output of a function. Okay, now letter B is totally different. Okay, here it says find x if the f of x is 7. So here, the 7 is the output. Okay, 7 is the output. So you need to put 7 in the output spot, and then your job is to find the input. How do you find such an input? When it's a squared power, you have to move everything over to one side. Minus 7, it's going to make a negative 6. And you're going to have to show some factoring work. It's super important that you keep the 0 in the equal sign because this is an equation. Equations can be solved. I'm going to factor out a 2, okay, to make the factoring part easier. Now we've got x and x. The only way to make a 3 is 3 times 1 minus 3 plus 1. I think this works for outers and inners. Okay, so the final answer here, x is equal to 3. X is equal to negative 1. Okay, what about this 2? Well, that's not an x. Okay, x is equal to. Right? When it has a squared power, that means you're going to get 2 solutions, and I got them. Okay, it says find x, so my answer on the answer line is going to be x equals. Okay, if it said write a point, then I would write a point, but it didn't say that. Okay, letter C. Okay, this one is actually way easier than people think. This says find 7 times the function. 7 times the function. Okay, so I'm going to start by labeling 7 times f of x equals. Okay, do they want me to put 7 into the x spot? No. Are they telling me that 7 is the output? No. They're saying do 7 times the f of x function. And the f of x function happens to be 2x squared minus 4x plus 1. Okay, so all we have to do here to find 7 times the function is just multiply all of his terms by 7. Okay, that's all you have to do. Look at how it's nicely labeled. Okay, and we multiplied all the terms by 7. All right, you're also going to have to do some table work with functions. Okay, and the trick here is that you really write your notation nicely. G of f. Okay, so f of negative 1 is going to go first. I'm going to write the outer letter because I'm not doing him yet. I'm going to do the f function first. Negative 1 is the input for x. And then when he goes into the f function, we get negative 3 right there. Okay. Now you write another line. So you keep all of these lines connected. Now I'm not going to write the g function because I'm going to evaluate with the g. So let's go to negative 3 as my input. Okay, so the top row right here, x is another way of saying input. Your top row is your input. Okay. And I'm going to go to negative 3, and I'm going to plug it into the g function, which takes me to 8. Okay, this is exactly how you should write things. I don't want you to come over here at any point ever say f of -1 is -3. That problem all by himself does not exist here. Okay, we put his answer in these set of parentheses. Okay, let's try it again. This time it's f of g of -1. So use an equal sign, write your outer letter. Now, these big parentheses right here is where I'm going to calculate this inside problem, g of -1. So if I go to -1 for an input, and I go down to the g function, it takes me to 0. Okay, now you write another line. Now don't write the f because I'm going to evaluate. Put 0 into f. Go back up to the input. 0 going into f takes me to -1. Okay, please make sure you use equal signs and work from the inside out. My daughter just finished this book. It's so cute. It's called Finley Flowers, and it's about a little girl who's an inventor.